So recently I've been tidying up my craft room and sorting out all my scraps of card and paper that we all end up with and we never seem to use. And while I was going through the scraps I had, I found a smallish piece of pattern paper which I've had for years. It was a little bit bigger than this. I've actually cut this down to about 2 inches high. But I found it and it's snowflakes and I thought it was quite nice. And then around about the time I found this, I discovered that I'd not made a card for somebody. So I'm going to make a Christmas card using this scrap piece of card as the inspiration. And I'm going to use a pattern that's in the ScanNCut machine. Now this is a bit different than I normally do. I normally do tutorials showing you how to use the functions in the ScanNCut or how to use ScanNCut Canvas. But I thought I'd actually show you a little project. If you want to see more of this type of thing, leave me comments in the box below on the YouTube channel and I'll try and come up with more. But this is a piece of A4 card and I've cut it in half along here and then folded it in half. So it makes what we call, I'll just try and move out. In the UK, it makes what we call an A6 card. Not sure what you call it in the US or other parts of the world. And then I've cut myself a mat in brown, which I'm going to just layer up there. And then this piece of scrap that I found is going to layer up there. And then I'm going to cut something from the machine. Okay, so I'm going to go into patterns. I'm going to go into this second icon here that's got the flower and the present. And then I'm going to come down to this bottom icon here, which has got the Halloween jack-o'-lantern and the parcel, and click on that. And I'm going to cut this bell. So I'm going to choose that bell. Now, I want the height to be, I think, about 2.5 inches, and this is set at 2.5 inches already. But when it comes in, I think it's just under 4, but I've been playing around with it to see roughly what size card I need to cut. So all that you need to do here is you can increase the size and the width will change if you're altering the height. So I'm going to take it back down to its 2.5 because I think that's roughly the size I want to cut it. And I'm going to say OK. So that just sets the size of the bell. And the bell is in 3 sections. You've got the bell, you've got the bow, and then you've got like the clapper at the bottom. So what you need to do with these is bring them on to your mat individually. So I'm going to choose the first one, which is letter A, which is the clapper. Say OK and say set. In fact, not at this point, I'm going to say 2 and then set because I'm not sure what colour I want to cut the clapper and the bow in, but I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So they're there. So then you say add and you go back to the bell. I know I want to cut, and you say OK. And I know I want to cut the bell in gold, so I only need 1. So I'm going to say set. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to choose the bow. Say OK. Now again, if you're only cutting 1, you just say set at this point. But again, I'm going to select 2 and say set. So now on my mat, I've got 2 clappers, a bell and 2 bows. And I'm going to say nothing at the moment. If you want to just, if you know what you're cutting and you know you've got a big piece of card, you just say OK. And then you could go to cut. But I'm just going to go back because I'm actually going to scan my mat because I've put some card on it. And if you just bear with me a minute, I'll move the camera and I'll show you what I mean, and it might all become a little bit clearer. Okay, so here's the mat. I've got a piece of gold card that I've cut at 3 by 3 just using my paper trimmer, and that's what I'm going to cut the bell in. Now originally I was going to cut the bow from this pattern paper and the clapper from the brown. So I've got scraps on my card here. So I've got a piece, this is about 4 by just under 3, and this is about 1.5 inches by about 4. But I can't decide whether that's going to look right. So I've put a piece of 3 by 3 green card on my mat as well, and I might just cut the bow and the clapper out of this. So I'm going to put this in my machine, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to scan it and move the pieces I've just shown you around so they fit on here. So just bear with me 1 minute. So I'm hoping that you can see this. So basically I've loaded up the mat that I've just shown you with the 4 pieces of card on it. I'm going to hit the background scan icon and press go and scan the mat with those card pieces on it. So I know I want to cut the bell in gold, and the gold was this piece in the top left hand corner, so I'm just going to centralise the bell on there. I'm going to leave a bow on a piece of the green, and the other bow I'm going to put on this pattern paper, but it doesn't look as though it will fit, so I'm going to have to rotate it. So I'm going to come into this icon, then into this icon, and then this is the rotate icon, and I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and say OK. So that's now on my pattern paper. And then the 2 little clappers that are up here, I'm going to move one down onto the piece of brown paper, and the other one I'm just going to put on the green. And then when I've cut it all, I'll see how it looks when it's put together. So I'm going to say OK and OK. Everything's there where I need it, all on the right pieces. Just move that one a little bit more, I think, on the gold, so it sits nicely. Say OK, and I'm ready to cut. And I'll try and move the camera so you can see what's happening. Okay, so that's finished. Just show you the screen. I don't need to select any more parts because I put them all on at the beginning. So I'm going to say finish and unload. Right, so they're all cut out. I'm just going to remove them from the mat and see how it looks. So there's the bell. Now this is what I was going to do originally. There's the clapper. I think it's called a clapper anyway. And there's the bow. But I'm not sure whether the bow is going to look right in that pattern paper. So that's why I chose to cut the extra 2 in the green, which I thought may match the base card better. And I think they do. So I'm going to put the card together. And again, here's my card. So this was a piece of A4 card that I cut directly in half across the short bit. Folded it in half. I'm going to layer up this section I've cut with my paper trimmer. Put this on top and then layer up the bell. So this is where I'm up to so far. I've got my card, I've stuck my matting layer on it, I've put my piece of pattern paper on it, but before I stuck that on, I wrapped a piece of ribbon around it. I'm just going to do a little bit of a bow or something there in a minute, but I just can't work out which side to put the, I think I'm going to put it there and put the bow there. So what I've done, I've stuck the bow with some glue onto my bell, and I've put some 3D foam pads on the back, and then I'm just going to put that on there. Like so. A little bit of glue, that might be too much, onto the bottom there and cut a bit of ribbon, covered in glue now. That needs a little bit of extra glue on it, I think. Get some scissors, some proper scissors. Just add a bit more glue under there. Stick that down. And then I think I'll maybe add a greeting or something along here. And then I might add some bits of decoration, I'm not sure yet, but I'll if I add any more to it when it's finished, I'll show it you. But that's it so far. So here it is finished. I've added a little bit of Stickles glitter glue in the centre of the bow and on the little clapper here. I've added some card candy in similar colours, blues, browns and greens, and a little white insert which I'm going to stamp a greeting inside and then I can write. So I think it turned out okay. A nice, quickish, simple little card using one of the basic shapes from within the Scan and Cut. Thank you.